have a team already in set, meaning your accounting, your marketing. Your marketing brings in your money. Your marketing pushes you out there, making sure everyone sees you. Your accounting, the money that's coming in, you have everything in order. Our accounts payable person is, oh my gosh, it's the best.
Hey everyone, welcome to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast, where we celebrate the S.O.B that you are, and if you haven't figured it out yet, we mean small-owned business. We don't mean S.O.B.
Listen, we know that as a small business owner, you are working hard on the daily to keep your business fully operational while trying to promote it. And while some days it may feel like the business is owning you, if we're being honest with each other, I bet you would admit that you wouldn't give up the insanity for anything.
Our commitment here at the S.O.B Marketing Podcast is to give you the real talk, what works when it comes to advertising, marketing, promoting your business, and then what doesn't really work.
And Chelsea and I promise to always keep the conversation real. Welcome, friends, to another episode of the S.O.B Marketing Podcast. S.O.B as in small-owned business. We're not out here cursing at you guys, but I want to start off just by doing a couple of housekeeping things. So first and foremost, we want to thank you for tuning in. If you are a listener, we want to really get you excited about leaving us a review. And so Chelsea and I are going to be doing a giveaway. This is officially our first giveaway on this podcast, so please be a part of it. What we're going to do is we are going to give away 2 free S.O.B small-owned business shirts in your size, and we'll coordinate that afterwards, asking you your size and getting all of that information, address, where to ship it to and all of that. But what we want you to do in order to get an entry into this giveaway is to leave us a review. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, go ahead and leave us a review and then take a screenshot of that and email it to us over at help@theseasonmarketer.com. We're going to do this until Thursday, September 20th. And then on that day, we will go ahead and announce who the winner or winners, 2 of you, who the winners are, and we'll get you those shirts. But this is just our little way of thanking you guys for tuning in, and hopefully you're enjoying the conversations that we're bringing to you. So just leave us those reviews. Chelsea, what are we talking about today?
Okay, Vivian, we have a very exciting episode. I know I say that every single week. I mean it every single week. And we have a very special guest with us today, Miss Rozabre. So sorry to Miss Rozabre. I pronounced that wrong. Or, as she likes to go by, Bray. She is, if you guys don't know, a huge part of my life. I think I've talked about it on the podcast, so you probably know. But I started my, small business marketing career with Bray because I was a front desk receptionist at her salon, and I slowly started doing more marketing stuff as well. And she really gave me a chance. So I love her to death. And very exciting news. She recently took her franchise business and said, you know what? This is going to be all me now. So she now owns her salon 100%. It is all her. It is Sweet Rose Waxing Company. She is officially a small-owned business. And so we're going to be talking about rebranding. But before we get into that, Bray, could you just give us a little background on your small business story?
Well, just like you said, I was a franchisee, but just one day it clicked. Why not just do everything by myself as I was doing before, but with my name on the door? I'm a cosmetologist. I've been waxing now for 12 years. Just came into it, was introduced to it, and I just never stopped from there.
Yeah. And you also recently became an instructor as well, correct?
Yes. I think it's been about 2 years now. Time goes by so fast, but yes, 2 years.
Now, I have a few questions here because y'all know I always have questions, but all right. So here's the thing. Chelsea does more of like the eyebrows, the eyelashes, all of that stuff, right? She's in the know with all of that. I'm her little homebody sister that knows like nothing. But what I'd imagine in your industry, because, you said you do cosmetology and you do the waxing, right? So your spa is a waxing spa. However, I think that's a little, it doesn't give the full picture of everything you do. So what services are you currently offering in 2024? Because I feel like that has probably changed for you since you started, right?
Yes, so much has changed. So right now we're doing waxing, meaning any hair removal from sugaring, threading, or just generally waxing. We do facials, eyebrow lash and tint. We do lamination for the eyebrows. Those are the two newer things that we do.
In marketing, because in what Chelsea and I do on the day to day, I think we're so used to it because, as you know, because you play the Instagram and Facebook and social media game too, that changes so often that I feel like we are constantly in the state of like just knowing that, in 2 weeks we're not going to know enough. But I feel like for you, it's probably a little different because your industry traditionally is always going to be the core basis of like the waxing and stuff like that. But then it seems like these trends now, everyone's doing the brow lamination and all of that. And so I'd imagine that for you adding these services, it was kind of a discussion internally of like, okay, are the people I have, are they, able to and qualified to be able to do that? And then how do we go about marketing that new service? So I love just hearing that even in your industry, it's something that you're constantly having to stay up to date with, with what's new.
Yes, definitely. In this industry, we grow literally every day. It's always something new, and just like you said, it's a new trend. Luckily, with my girls, they're still young, so they're into the trend. So a lot of times they
Love
tell
it.
me about the new things, and I'm just like, oh, dang, I feel so old, but it's okay. Okay, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's learn more about it. And I'm always up for learning. Obviously, being an instructor, you want to learn more every day so I can teach more and educate more. So it
That's
definitely
awesome.
helps.
Yeah. And I think that is something that I think people don't consider specifically in the cosmetology industry, that because it is constantly changing and evolving, you guys need to stay up to date and be consistently learning all of the new stuff so that you can offer your clients the best services.
Yes, that's true. State board changes rules overnight, every day. I got an email recently, something else is changing. So we definitely have to be on top of that as well. So, doing our CEUs and just doing general classes and things like that, it is definitely helpful to keep the know-how and what's next. So,
What I love about your story, and as a big sister, I just have to say thank you for giving my little sister the opportunity to be able to flourish and to learn to get hands on with stuff. Because, I think marketing is always just like any small business, right? The idea you have in your head of what it's like to own a small business is not actually what it's like to own a small business. I promise you, right? Yeah,
yes.
I see you rolling your eyes, but that's the thing, there's like this glamorous side to it, which it is there's a reason that we've decided to take the leap into creating something and building something for ourselves and not being employed by somebody, right? You have to have a certain personality to want to do that. But
Right.
I will say what I love so much about your story is I know, so you were already, when you came into it, you came out of cosmetology school and you were like, hey, I know I want to own my own business. And so the way that you initially found that was through a franchise, right? Because it kind of allowed you a little flexibility in the sense that you still own the business. And so you get to do the day-to-day decisions in that. But then it gives you a little more structure in being that they have some processes in place, right? But then now that's act one. Act two now of your business is you're like, I want to go full blown on my own. So that way I completely get to decide and control everything that I'm doing.
Mm.
So talk to me, was that a scary decision for you to make that leap? Or did you feel like your mindset was just already ready for it?
Honestly, I think the scariest part about it was letting the franchisor know that I
Mhm.
wanted to leave, but leaving was the best option. So that part wasn't scary for me. And starting everything from scratch, uh, again, that wasn't scary. So I think the biggest, scariest thing was letting the franchisor know that was wanting to leave. Um, I had so many ideas and so many wants. In order for them to be met, I had to do it myself. And I felt that. So, yeah.
I love it. I love the biggest thing that I love about that is I think for a lot of people it would have been they would have been discouraged to think, okay, if maybe being a franchise a franchisee is not right for me, then maybe being a small business owner is not right for me. But I love that you were able to compartmentalize the fact that, like, hey, if this isn't necessarily what I envisioned, there's another option. Like, I don't have to, what do they say? You don't have to toss the
You
baby out
break
with the
it up.
bathwater, right? So you could still keep the business and create it or recreate it to be something that you envisioned.
The recreating part it wasn't hard wanting to do that. It was more so of letting everyone else see my vision. Um, so, yeah, that it was a big step, but it was a great step.
Well, I just want to say really quick. So, we're understanding why you took the leap into rebranding. I want to say for small business owners who are considering rebranding, just know it means you will start over from scratch. Like, rebranding is not a small thing, it is a hard reset. So, if you're feeling like you're not sure if you need to rebrand or not, take a second and say, what is bothering me right now? What is the issue that I'm having with my small business? Is it something small? Like, is it the way that I'm communicating? Maybe your brand voice isn't working. Or is it something like, I need a product change? I need to change my mission. I need to change my vision. What at the core when I started this business is no longer what I want it to be. If it's something that big, like Bray is saying, if I want to make all these big changes that just don't align with my business right now, that's when you're going to need a hard reset. That's when you need to rebrand.
And sometimes the hard reset isn't. I'll challenge that a little bit in the sense that it doesn't mean that sometimes you have to like throw there could be in your assessment, there could be ways to say like, hey, here are the things that I'm really doing well. Okay.
Mhm.
And so when I'm rebranding, I still want to move this into my new, the new
Yeah.
brand I'm creating for myself. But it does allow you that opportunity to just, like you said, Chelsea, start from scratch. So that way the hardest thing is, and I know this because I do this, I'm so hard headed that I'm like, this is going to work. This is going to work. Like, I don't care if it takes me 10 million years, it's going to work. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, sometimes it's okay to just be like, hey, that's not working. And it's not working for, various reasons. And so therefore, that rebrand lets you say like, hey, do I even need to move that over with me? Do I need to take it with me into the new brand? Or can I just leave it here? Even though people may know me as this right now, do I have to carry that with me? And sometimes the answer to that is no. So I do, I agree with what you're saying, Chelsea. I don't want people to think though that rebranding sometimes just means you absolutely have to change everything, because you don't. You could keep what you want. So Bray, what did you find when you were kind of going through that assessment for yourself? Like, what was it? Was it more of like an internal conversation of like, what is aligning with me right now as a business owner? Or was it a little more of, am I looking at the data? Or I guess I'm wondering, is it a little more woo-woo, like what feels aligned? Or is it a little more like, I'm going to look at the actual like business numbers?
It was a little of everything. Honestly, it started out from just how my life, my personal life was going. Um, so I had to look at that first, which made me do the big jump of, okay, this has to change. Looked at numbers, looked at just my surroundings, and I knew it had to be changed. It's just a lot went on in that at that moment. A lot went on in that moment, and it definitely pushed me to change, to rebrand, to make it for me and what's best for me and my family right now.
Speaking of surroundings, by the way, you have one of the best locations. Can I tell you that? Like your business, it's her business, you guys, is on Main Street. Okay, so the Main Street in Summerville, South Carolina, and it just has a really good location. I feel like it's it's easily accessible. It's right off the road. So when you said surroundings, I was thinking physical surroundings. I'm like, yeah.
Outside the spot, it is really nice. Being near downtown Somerville, and then a mile down the road, it's Azalea Square, and where everyone is the busiest part of Somerville. So it's I think we're in the perfect place. Seriously, we are. We're in a really good place.
I want to go back to what you were saying about how looking at your personal surroundings, y'all, as small business owners, yes, you're a business owner, but it's more than that because it's you. Like, it's your brand, it's your business, it's very personal. So if you do need to look at it and say, hey, my personal life is being affected, that's completely fine. Because you need to do what's best for your personal life, because that's how you're going to be successful in your business. It's all connected. You can't be miserable trying to run your business. It's not, I mean, you can, and you may or may not be successful, but you need to take the time to evaluate how you are doing mentally, emotionally, personally.
There's I listen to Amy Porterfield. She is actually an online like business marketing person. And it's interesting because she used to work for Tony Robbins. And when she left, she started her own thing. And she said, it was great. I had clients. And she goes, and then I slowly realized, because she started saying yes to like clients and taking on money and stuff. And she said, after like 2 years, I realized I had built the exact thing I was trying to get away from. And she's like, and at that point, I was like, what am I doing? I got to, restart. So I do think all of that is valid. Like there's got to be some alignment. And listen, y'all, if as a business owner, you're not building the one thing that you want, like, what are we doing? Like you might as well go build someone else's dream, right? Because that's what we do with, corporate jobs. So.
Well, and I think even as a franchise owner, Bray, if I'm correct, like that's how you felt about, I'm not going to say any names, but that's how you felt about being a franchisee, is I'm helping this person and this name grow. Even though it is my salon, it's still not me and it's not my name, right?
Right. And at the beginning, I will say everything was great. But then after a while, you realize you're doing so much work, and sometimes you don't feel appreciated. And which you don't have to. Like, there's no obligation for them to appreciate you. But being that the company is still not as big, it's still a small company in a sense. You want to feel included into some of the day to day, the new things, and I didn't feel that. But with my business, and even before when I was a franchisee, I tell my girls everything. I give my ideas or their ideas. I listen. I tell them. I show them, and I just feel like including the people that's around you, that's helping you grow your business. You should tell them. You should let them know what's the next thing you're planning to do, or what you're thinking of. Because if it's not a good idea, they will tell you. Because they see it. They're there. They're working with you. So I feel like that's a big thing. That's the biggest thing that I do. I've always done in my business. So
Yeah,
I will.
communication is always, it's either going to be the bridge, I think, for a lot of people, or it's going to be the one thing that sets the bridge on fire if there's a lack of communication, right? Because people start to feel ostracized. And even when people don't, I have found this just personally, even when people are not doing it maliciously, like maybe they're just not even thinking about it. I think strong leaders give so much weight and importance to communication that's where they shine, right? Because even they're thinking in the forefront, well, what do I not share? But then how much can I share to still make them feel included? Because at the end of the day, you are the business owners that's fronting all of the expense and all of that. So I do think there are some things that, some things maybe they don't need to know, but I'm sure as a business owner and as a leader, you're like, okay, but I still need to tell them at least this much, right? Like how it affects the business on the back end when they do this, or how, so good for you to recognize that. That's huge.
I just want to say, as someone who has been an employee for Bray, like everything she's saying, she is being completely honest. Like, do you know how sometimes businesses will say, we're a happy family here? And you're like, okay, sure. But Bray really did, and she still does. I no longer work for her, but when I worked for her, she did an amazing job of saying, we're all going to sit down. We're going to talk about what's going on. We're going to talk about goals. Like, give me suggestions. What have you noticed? What is working? What is not? Like, we are all in this together to make this business successful. And I think it also has to do with the fact that this is the beauty industry, because for your girls, the more successful that the salon is, the more clients that they will get, the more tips that they can get, the more money that they'll bring in. So you've done an amazing job of explaining that, saying, hey, the better we do, the better you will do. So let's be a group, let's be a family, work together and make this work. And that, I think, especially with this new rebrand and your new brand personality, Sweet Rose Wax and Company, I think it shows. It shows in the personality, it shows in the branding, which amazing job.
thank you.
Yeah, please tell us where, because I want everyone that's listening, you guys, please go to her Instagram profile so that you can see, her new rebrand. What's your Instagram handle?
It's Sweet Rose Wax Co.
And I'll add that in the show notes, everyone. So definitely go check it out.
So I do have a question. Interesting. Speaking of like the whole rebrand and how, I found a LinkedIn article and it talked about like rebranding in general. And it said two things that caught my attention. The first one, it said, your business name is much, much bigger deal than what you think it is. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It took me months to figure out. I knew the name I wanted it to be, but to make it perfect, not too long, not too short, not too personal, but understanding of what we do here. It took some time, but I got it.
I want to say, really interesting, because the franchise that you were a part of had the name of the owner in it. So it was right? Okay, so it had the name in it. And
I feel like we just played Mad Libs. Fill in the blanks.
I'm not calling people out. Look, man, I don't want to get in trouble. But my point is, you and we were talking about creating content for your social media. And you had said to me, it is so important to me for my brand and this business to be about the customers, the clients, and their experience. It is not franchise owners' experience. It is you, the client's experience. So I think that's really interesting when we're talking about business names. Like, you went hard reset, absolutely no names in it, because I think you had that experience of, you know, this is so focused and centered around her name, her brand. And you're like, no, I want my business to be about my clients and their experience.
Right. I think being around that business for so long, and anywhere you went, anything you see here, if you go there, it's this experience of this person, and it's the attention is based off of that one person, which is fine if that's her business, that's what she wanted. Um, Me personally, I don't like a lot of attention, so I want the attention to be focused on my client. And when they come in, I make sure they have my full attention. Um, I don't you've seen me check clients out and check clients in. When my clients come in through the door, I'm if I'm with one client and I'm taking them to the room, or I'm walking them out, I honestly don't speak to the client that's walking through the door yet until I'm finished talking to that one specific client. When I'm done with that client and that client is checked out, then I'll speak to the next client. It looks rude in the moment, but when you get that experience of me focusing just on you, you understand. That's how I see it. But I do think the best way to keep your clients coming is to have that full focus on them, their full experience of what they need in that moment. Because a lot of times they come in and they just need someone to talk to, someone to be a listening ear. And I definitely want to be that person for them just for a few minutes. We're not in there long. And making sure they have the best experience for them, for that day, for that moment.
So I think I just heard that you're like 50% therapist, 50%.
Yes, right? I do need to go back to school. I really do. I would love that to incorporate that into my business. But
licensed therapist and licensed waxer.
Yeah. I do think, well, and it's important. Like you said, the people just want attention. Like, I think when you just boil it down and you're like, when you realize that people just want to be loved and they want to be seen and heard. And if for those, how long are your appointments? Like 30, 60 minutes?
Sometimes not even that long, to be honest. Maybe like 20 minutes at the most, but for a longer appointment, maybe 40 minutes.
Okay. And so for that time frame, like you said, if it's a busy mom that's got 3 kids that she's, dealing with, because I know you're a mama, so you get it, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like your little sanctuary time, your time alone when someone's not looking for you and asking you for gummy snacks. You get to go to Bray and relax. So.
And I also want to say this is so important specifically in the beauty industry, because think about it. All of the people that you go to for your beauty services, you have such a relationship with. Your hairstylist. I only go to one specific person. No one else is allowed to touch my hair. I have one person. I have one waxer that is Bray. Ain't no one else touching me. Like the relationship that you have with your beauty specialists is so important. And I think it's amazing that you are recognizing that and you're saying, this is the forefront of my business. Like, this is the most important thing. This is the mission for my business, is to give my clients the best experience they could possibly have.
Absolutely. I think that's the best way to do anything, is make sure your clients are happy. Make sure they need everything they deserve, definitely in that time, because they're paying for your service. So you want to give them what their money is worth.
So let's talk about the scary part of rebranding, because I know everybody that's listening is probably thinking, great, maybe they're saying, I've considered a rebranding, but I just haven't made that leap because it's scary, because I feel like I am going to start over. And so, Bray, talk to us a little bit about, I know I looked up on you completely started fresh from scratch on Instagram, on Facebook, and you're working your way to building all of that back up to what it was before. And so what do you say would be was that kind of refreshing? Was it nice to be able to just, start a brand new page and put new content on there? Or were you thinking, gosh, like this is going to take a while?
I would say I was scared at the beginning, but then I realized it was best to do from scratch. Starting everything from a clean slate and having only my name, building my business was more understanding than, oh, I wonder if I could just take this over and can I just, no, it was easier to just start from scratch.
So you don't regret making that decision though? Like it was, yeah.
It was an easy, I won't say easy. It wasn't easy, but it was a decision that was made that was best for my company now.
And if I could pay you a compliment, you are so good on video. I don't know if you know that, but you're the way you're smiling, you are like, you're showing up like you actually want to be on video, which I think half the people on Instagram don't, and you can tell. So I think, so I just want to congratulate you. I think that's a big thing. You have a very nice camera presence. So I hope you really lean into that because it definitely is welcoming and appealing to a lot of people.
You can see me squeezing my hands. I'm nervous, very nervous, but I try my best. When we do our videos, Chelsea knows I mess up a lot, but I think we've been doing this for 3 years.
Yep.
I think I've gotten a little better.
Oh, you've 100% gotten better. And I've had this conversation with another small business owner before, Lucky Luna. Oh, go check out her earrings. She makes gorgeous stuff. But she had told me, I'm starting to go on video. I'm still a little nervous about it, but, I'm just doing it because you and Vivian are like, you need to do video content. I'm like, I'm going to let you in on a secret. It never gets easier. And she was like, what do you mean it doesn't get easier? I'm like, I'm still nervous every single time. I still mess up a lot. And I've been doing this for a long time too. It's my full-time job. The point is that you are making an effort to do it. The fact that you showed up at all says a lot.
Well, and I think also the way she shows up, that's what I like about, I watch your videos, and the reason I like them is you're just like someone that I feel like people could hang out with and like they'd want to be around, right? You're not like a grumpy person or anything. So that comes off in what you're saying and just your presence. So I think you're knocking it out of the park, even if you don't know you are.
I want to say, the tip that I've given Bray that I'm going to give to all you listeners right now is share the information and talk to the camera like you're talking to someone. Like have a conversation, because that's what people want. People want to feel like they're having a conversation with you. So like if you're going to show up and you're going to be very buttoned up and hey everyone, this is the information. Like no one wants to hear that.
I personally feel attacked, Chelsea.
Okay.
That's me like half the time. She's always like, you need to lighten up.
Well, I'm going to say it to you then. Have a conversation.
Yeah. I feel like when I'm on video, I'm talking to my people, my clients, like I'm talking to them when they're here. Mm-hmm. So that's how what makes it easier for me, because everyone wants it to be natural. I try to be as natural as possible.
It's always interesting because I've said this before, coming from a healthcare industry, people pick even doctors based on personality, right? And that's the one thing that is always striking to me is it used to, when I was younger, I really didn't understand that. I was like, well, you're going to want to pick a specialist that's like the best at what they do. And yes, that's true. Like for some people, that's definitely what they lean into. But for a lot of people, they're like, what good is a specialist that's really great, but yet has no bedside manner and literally makes me feel like crap when I'm sitting there in front of them? And so it's, there is a trade off there that I think happens. But Bray, the other question I had for you was, I've seen that you are so good about, like, you share stuff in Facebook groups. So I feel like you've kind of figured out, like, hey, once I can't just like post and be done with it, but like I have to post and then still try to promote what I just posted, right? So have you found that to be pretty effective?
Yeah. We get a good bit of people that's at, if you go to like the Somerville or the Charleston, you see a lot of people are moving here and asking where to go. So whenever I do see it, I try to post and repost what I've already posted before. And then sometimes I just put my website, my phone number, my name. I'll tag the social media platforms, and it definitely helps because a lot of these pages you can't post every day.
Yeah.
So when I do see someone asking a question, I'm just like, okay, let me put my name there. Let me put my phone number or the website, and it definitely helps. And especially if a lot of people are asking and a lot of people are referring me myself, that's always very helpful.
I also, Bray, want to talk about the fact that you take reviews so seriously. And like you make sure the girls are always asking, hey, leave a review and stuff like that. And I know, Vivian, you said you were searching online and you saw that they had an amazing amount of good reviews, right?
Yeah, you definitely have your review game is spot on, right? So how do you kind of like look at that? Like how have you, I don't know, communicated that to the ladies that work with you as far as why you're wanting to kind of build up those reviews?
Everyone looks at reviews. Before, people will just go places and just don't even think about the reviews. But nowadays, you have to look at the reviews before you go anywhere. So if for us, like I said, we make sure our customers are always happy. We make sure our customers are always educated and in the know of what we do and what we can do for them. The reviews will come with that. The good reviews will come with that. Punctuality, like everything. Did I say that word right?
Punctuality, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so it definitely does help making sure that we're on point with everything. So then again, that's where the reviews come in. We don't always ask for them, but with our new system, it pops up right after their checkout, which is awesome. So it definitely helps. And it sends them a text message right after asking for a review, which again, it definitely helps. And as long as we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, we get the good reviews.
Yeah. Man, automation, I love it. Anytime you can automate something, like you said, you're not even having to have your people ask for it anymore after the interaction or after the appointment because it automatically does it for you, right? So that's great.
Yes, it has been very, very, very helpful. Having it just send it to them, or as soon as checkout, if we're doing on the iPad, it shows them. It's just, oh, 5 stars right here. I'm like, okay, thank you. Really appreciate it. No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also the review thing, because we all do it as consumers. And so it's like, if you're a small business owner, just put yourself on the consumer end of it, right? If I'm going to a restaurant or even like booking a hotel, I even pull up photos of like the hotel rooms from the actual people that stayed there, not the ones on their website. Cause they make those look all glamorized. I actually click on I want to see the grainy stuff of what the bathroom looks like before I commit to going there. But that's the whole thing is I do think nowadays everyone's in such a habit that if you're a small business owner, if you're not doing reviews, then you're missing out. And if you're a small business owner that is doing reviews and you haven't automated it, then you may be missing out. So, always think of how you can create that oomph. And for Bray, it was, hey, let me just automate this so I don't have to think twice about it. And it's already loading those reviews into my Google page. That's great.
It definitely helps. It really does.
Well, I want to ask Bray, going back, like let's hard pivot back to rebranding. What did you feel like was the hardest part of your rebrand? Like, what was the part that you were like, this is what I need to sit down and really focus on?
Funny thing is, I'm still working on that. The hardest part is the paperwork. Here's a secret. It's not going to be a secret, but I really haven't done a handbook. I've started it, but I'm trying to change it completely from what I had it as before.
Yeah.
So the rules, of course, are different. The policies are going to be different. So that's something I'm still working on. This whole rebranding happened really quickly. It was a quick thought. And so me not knowing that it was going to actually go through, I didn't do anything because I didn't want to set myself up and be sad about it later. So now I'm here till late some nights, trying to finish and work on it. And that's one of the hardest things is to redoing everything, literally down to everything, everything's changed.
Well, because I think there's a lot that goes with it that sometimes we don't think about when you're, we talked a little earlier how she had to restart her social media profiles from scratch, but that's just on that side of it. When she's talking about all of the legal stuff, all of the paperwork. If you guys have intake forms with old logos on it, you got to redo those. If you have anything that's like automated that has a logo attached to it or an old name on there, if you're doing contracts, you got to switch those LLC names out of those contracts. I mean, it really is like from start to finish, A to Z, you're having to to lay eyes on every single piece of thing that you've ever done, because you're like, I don't want to have an old logo or old name attached to it and accidentally give it to someone. So,
right. Even down to the applications, having to change the names, the legality on it and everything. Everything has been, I have a checklist. So I'm going down my checklist and hopefully one day I'll get to the end of it, but I'm keep adding on to more because having a team, you don't remember everything, but then you have people behind you that's just like, did you do this? I'm like, oh, let me write this down.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to change that. I'm like, oh yeah, I have to change that. So a lot of things, as in like the tax purpose, everything tax has been stressful, but I'm getting there. Everything, but you definitely have to change everything because you don't want to use, and being that I'm coming from a franchise, I did not want to use what they provided.
Chelsea and I were joking earlier this week that the tax stuff always gets me because it's like, it's that joke where it's like, I know exactly how much money you made, but I'm not going to tell you how much money you owe us, but I'm going to have you guess. And if you guess wrong, then I'm going to throw you in jail.
Yeah.
Like it's that whole thing where you're always like filling stuff out and you're like, I hope I'm doing this the right way.
It doesn't matter how old I get. I'm still not going to understand that stuff. It's stressful.
I think they make it purposefully so that we don't understand it.
Yeah. And they change it every year. And my tax person is she seems so stressed every year. I'm like, I'm sorry, but here's a stack of paper that I got throughout the year. I don't know what to do with it.
That's my father-in-law's an accountant, and he's in Alabama. And it's funny from his end, he's been doing it for so long, y'all, that like for him it's second nature. And I feel like when something big or new changes, like he'll share it with me, but the way he shares it is just very matter of fact. And I'm like, I would be like so stressed out right now, but he's just used to it. He's like, yeah, every other year they got something, and he's got a huge clientele. So I think he's pretty good in the sense that he understands he's got to tell people exactly what to do. So he sends us like instructions.
Mhm.
Like, this is your instruction sheet on how, you need to send us stuff. So it's, I don't know, that stuff it stresses me out too, Bray. I don't get it.
Short tangent, but I think it's really funny. Your father-in-law does your taxes. Our father does my taxes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Please help me.
I trust dads to do taxes.
Yeah. Well, Bray, I'm wondering, so you said very stressful. If you could go back, what is the one thing that you're like, this is the first thing I need to do for my rebranding? Like if you could do it again and you're like, this is the thing that I'm going to finish absolutely right now, first thing, what would it be?
Everything that I don't have done now is the admin stuff. All the paperwork, I have the taxes, refiling and redoing and re-signing up for the tax profiles. That was the easy part. It's literally what I need to get to my employees.
Yeah.
The contracts and I think that's pretty much it. The handbooks and everything. I wish I could start over and do that at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you're almost done. I mean, listen, you got your checklist, just, plow through it. Almost there.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad you mentioned the handbook, because that's something like I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have thought of that at all. But that's something you need to have.
Yeah, you definitely want to have something for your employees to go by. Right now, we're going by technically our old handbook, but policy changes, and you want that change to be in black and white. So you can go back and say, hey, this is what we did. This is the policy and this needs to change. Or, something you can't, I feel like you can't just come to work and just do whatever without policies. So you definitely need policies that'll help guide your employees, yourself, and keep you in line with the day to day.
Well, I feel like this is such a big, it was a big decision, but it's a huge opportunity for you. Let me ask you, do you allow yourself to envision, like, are you in the future wanting to maybe open multiple locations? Are
Absolutely
you like,
not. Sorry.
No? Listen, we're gonna have you on the podcast 3 years from now when you're opening your third location, and then I want to ask this again.
Maybe like right now, I'm not even thinking about a second location. Yeah, I can't see. Right, I can't see it. It's foggy.
No, well, because you're still and listen, here's the thing: is like having multiple locations. Some businesses don't want that, and some people just don't want to do that. I do think I love all of everything that you have done to reestablish yourself, and I'm so excited because I feel like Chelsea. I know we had tossed around when we were talking about rebranding in general. I know press releases are a big deal. People could also do, when they do like ribbon cuttings, because that is an opportunity. You're essentially a new, different business now. And I'm trying to think, what else were we talking about, Chelsea, that?
Well, I think it's really important, if you're considering rebranding, preparing your existing audience as soon as you are sure the time is coming and you're ready, publicizing the change as much as possible. And a really big one, really important, is anticipating the questions that your audience may have and preparing messaging for those questions so that
Right.
no one, basically, you want to take your audience and make it as simple and as easy as possible to get accustomed to your new branding, because you don't want to lose anyone on the journey, right? Like, you want to make it as simple as possible so that everyone can just float along with you.
I like that sound.
Thank
Hello.
you.
Right. I'd imagine for you, an example of that was like, I know you guys could do packages before, right? So they could buy like X amount of waxes for a certain amount, a discounted price. Were you, when you rebranded, how did you handle that transition?
I still have the people that still continue to come with me that had packages before. I still honor it.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely want them to continue with me, especially if they are a client of ours, like our client. So it definitely helped them to transition with us. And honestly, I've had a lot of people still, once they finish that package from previous business, they have bought another one because
Good.
it's a really good deal. And then it's just very helpful.
Bray made a video about this. So she sent out messaging to her audience saying, hey, if you bought a package with us and you're wondering now what's going on, we're still going to honor your package. So she made it very clear and simple for everyone involved so that there were no questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really, I'm glad to hear that you had anticipated stuff like that, because otherwise that's the stuff that people would say, hey, if I invested money already, like what what are we going to do about that? So great communication.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
Communication and relationships.
Yep.
Yes. Those are the two best things to have.
Well, Bray, I want to wrap up this conversation with a question for these small business owners out there that are right now considering rebranding, or maybe they 100% are rebranding, they just haven't started yet. What suggestions do you have for them?
I would say have a team. Have a team already in set, meaning your accounting, your marketing. Your marketing brings in your money. Your marketing pushes you out there, making sure everyone sees you. Your accounting, the money that's coming in, you'll have everything in order. Our accounts payable person is, oh my gosh, is the best. Because especially like me, I'm in the day to day, so I'm still working, but also managing and also running the business. And having those two people, those two companies, those two helpful hands, thank you. It definitely helps. One less thing off of your plate. Those are the main things I would say.
I also want to say too, I think sometimes people look at that the wrong way. So in the sense that to your point, when you establish a team, like let's say you're like, okay, the accounting thing and definitely the marketing thing. It also frees up your time and your bandwidth from even having to learn or think about it. Like is Bray's time better spent in her business doing her, taking care of her employees, writing her handbook, making sure that her operations is good? Or is it better spent her trying to figure out what Instagram is doing right now and what, it just doesn't make sense. And so I think sometimes when you start to make that change in the way you're thinking about those, like the outsourcing part of it, where you're just like, great, I don't have to worry to make sure that my bills are getting paid, my vendors are getting paid, accounts payable's done. I have someone that, that knows it. When I pop in there, I could look at a report, I could see how I'm doing, but I don't need to do the actual physical work of getting that sent off. So I think that's great that you recognize that so early on.
Yes, especially with the last business. I learned that. That's where I learned it from. And in the last business, in that process, I had two more children. I started out with one, and in the process of having a new business, I had two more children. So I had three total. So having to manage my three kids, house, and a business, you definitely need someone to pay the bills at the business, because you will forget. You will forget.
I feel like as someone with no kids, I barely am hanging on by a thread. Sometimes I can't imagine adding 3 kids to that. And I'll tell you, my best friend has 3 children. She's got twin boys that just turned, oh, happy birthday, boys. They turned 6 today. But they're twin boys, and she has an older daughter. When I go visit her house, the amount of chaos that ensues, I walk in and literally our conversation, it gets interrupted. We always have to pick up where the kids want to show you something. So more power to you. It's wild. 3 kids is wild.
Yes, definitely.
What are their ages, if you don't mind me asking?
I have a 8-year-old boy, 5-year-old boy, and a 3-year-old little girl.
Oh my gosh. I love it. That's still very young.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I know.
Well, if you haven't heard it before, congratulations. Big congratulations on everything, all the work that you have done. I think it is going to pay off in dividends, because I'm telling you, when I look at your Instagram and your Facebook, I'm like, it's you. It's you. So I think you've done exactly what you set out to accomplish to do. And I'm sure that the customers are going to follow that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I'm hoping that maybe once you get everything squared away, you could do a ribbon cutting. Vivian and I would love to go to that. If that's in the books, maybe.
Yes. I was thinking hopefully by the end of September we will be able to do that. So,
oh, how exciting.
Well,
yay. Well, I will make sure, as soon as you tell me that you're doing ribbon cutting, I'm going to share it with everyone I know. Yeah. So we can get a good count for that.
You can count. Our mom and dad will be there.
Yep.
Karen will be there. We'll get you some people to okay. I love it. And it's I think too, also, I know it's nerve-wracking because trust me, I don't like planning parties. I did it in my corporate job, and people always say like, oh, you have the fun job. I'm like, clearly you've never planned an event, because it's not fun, right? It's fun for everybody but you.
Yep.
But yeah, so we're happy to help you with any of that so that it would make your event a little more enjoyable to you.
I definitely appreciate y'all.
Love it.
Well, Bray, let everyone know where can they find you. Plug anything you want. Just do your thing.
So our address is 437 North Main Street, Somerville. Social media, we have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Handle is Sweet Rose Wax Co. Find us, call us, Google. We're on Google, Yelp, everything. We're there. Sweet Rose Wax Co.
Yay. And I will add all the information for Bryce so that you guys can find Sweet Rose Wax and Company in the show notes. So thank you everyone for listening. Do not forget that we are doing that giveaway. So go leave us a review on whatever platform that you're listening to this on. If you have any topics you want us to talk about, or if you want to be a guest on the podcast, just email us at help@theseasonmarketer.com. You can also send us a DM on social media. We check all of our accounts. We are at The Season Marketer on everything. And go be the best S.O.B you can be.